Okay, so I'll ask this question and then I'm gonna turn off the camera so I can nurse. But when it was talking about the evaluations, one of the questions was, what are some of the things that you want to get out of the evaluation? So like, what questions do you want to ask, or would you like to have answered by your group? So I was wondering what some of the things were some of the things you guys wanted answered by the group you're teaching.
Well, I know me and you, Caitlin, we've already kind of worked this over in our own, but something that I really loved just seeing is, I don't know, just hoping that they will answer with the honest opinion and like, just in a matter of knowing how we can improve already. I know one of the other questions too, just to tie it in with this one, was what we hope to get from this. And I know something I'm already hoping for is that I can achieve one of the highest scales so I can start working now with the evaluation system that I give them. So I don't know. It's interesting to think about how with each evaluation we can see, I don't know, how to be better and not take it as, I don't know, something that's going to be embarrassing or tear us down instead of something that can build us up or something. I don't know. That's kind of the perspective I had.
Yeah, so I kind of missed the last part of that question because my husband was leaving really quick, so I just was saying goodbye to him. But was it the one about like what questions would we want answered to improve the program?
Yeah, like what you want to get out of your evaluation and what you want to learn from it.
All right, so like one thing that I just kind of want is to just know if like the way we are teaching and like the activities we do are helpful to the participants. And then like also one thing that Grace and I really focused on was the objectives and just kind of making sure our objectives were being met. And that was like one of our main things because the whole purpose of to get through these objectives, and we were really hoping that our workshop would be able to do that.
Yeah, I like what Camilla said about like taking it as something positive and not as bad criticism. One of the questions I wanted answered, kind of like what Sarah was saying, is to know what was effective to them, like what, oh my gosh, sorry, to know what worked for the participants and what they liked best, whether it was, you know, teaching aids or quotes, or was the most interesting and effective for them to get something out of it, so that I can expound upon that and use those to my advantage. And I also wanted to know like kind of what they wish they had learned more of, you know, wish we had focused more on a certain topic or whatever, just to be able to provide that for future lessons as well.
One question that I really liked, I think it was the first one. I was just talking about, actually it's the second one now that I'm looking at it. It says, why is it important to have a clear understanding of your vision and program goals and objectives for your Family Life Education program before assessing the program? And I really like that reading about having a vision of like what you want the program to be, because when you have the vision, you know what you want from it. And having the goals and objectives will direct the program, and it will give you a way to measure the learning of the participants. I also thought it was important because when you have a vision and goals, then you can like assess your program and know what should be teaching and what the participants should know afterwards, and hopefully you can see like the long-term effects of like the program.
That was one that I really liked, that question. I was just going to add to it something that I began to think about is like these people are like our audience are coming and basically giving up their time and are expecting to gain something from us as educators. And so it's our job to be able to make sure we're actually being proactive in finding out information and finding things, or else instead of just like winging it as we go, it makes such a difference when we have like literally have sat down and we've found information and we've found things and have, like you said, have had that vision of what we hope they will receive, then they're going to actually gain, they're going to gain something no matter what, as long as we have like tried. So I really like that question too, for me, is from my perspective.
Yeah, oh my gosh, she hasn't been fussing this whole time. She does it just when I talk. Sorry, I think it's important to figure that out because like the reading says, they were talking about, a sample evaluation and how they got like 60% or something. And they're like, well, is that good or bad? And the reading says, well, it depends. I mean, was that 60% on, okay. Was that 60% on like what you wanted? So were they, giving good scores on the parts that you wanted to focus on, or were they giving good scores on the part that you like that wasn't really the emphasis of your lesson? Really know what you want your audience to get out of it. Then when you look at the results of your evaluation, you can tell, okay, yeah, they answered positively, or they noted the things that I wanted them to note. And so even if you got like a 30% or something, as long as that 30% was positive on what you were focusing on. I don't know if this is really making sense, but yeah, basically I think you just have to have a clear understanding so that when you get your evaluation, you can really evaluate it and see how effective you were in that specific you had.
Just as you guys were talking, I just remembered like when we did our pilot teaching a couple weeks ago, the people in our thing, they said that they would have liked to have known like what to expect in the workshop. And so just giving them the vision of the workshop really helped them with like would have really helped them know how to like what to expect. And then at the end when we asked for their assessment or whatever it was called, they would have been able to give us better scores than what they did just because they knew what to expect already.
I think that's a good idea. I think if like, when we do the actual teaching, to kind of prepare your audience for what's being taught. I mean, it's kind of like in the church, like when we go to general conference, we always talk about preparing for conference and praying for answers and that kind of stuff. And not necessarily that you have to ask your audience to pray for answers or for whatever, but I think, letting them know and kind of letting them prepare so that they're in that mindset and then they can come prepared with questions and prepared, ready to discuss and just kind of in that zone. I think that will help your lesson go so much better and you'll kind of just be able to kick things off easier. I think that's a good idea. Okay, so kind of switching gears a little bit. What did you guys think about the code of ethics stuff? I like the question that asked, oh my Atlanta. that asked if your value system was in line with like the code of ethics and kind of what you thought with that.
It was nice to be able to reread through all of those because I remember I'm like so scatterbrained. I can't remember if it was in this class that we did it at the beginning or if it was in another completely different class that I had last semester. But if I remember correctly, like we were able to go through those and to recognize what some of our goals are as educators, and being able to reread those helped me look at things through a certain angle. And I feel like it's so broad. Like there's so many different paths that we can take, and because there are so many different situations in in families, like we have to be so open-minded, as well as be able to be flexible with how we choose to communicate with each family. So I don't know, I just thought that was so cool that they had a code of ethics of what to do and like how to be reactive and responsive. So that's what I really liked.
Yeah, I'm like Camille. I had like another class that like covered these code of ethics as well, and it just made me realize how much there is to being ethical while teaching. I really like the case studies that we had to do. There's like the one with like the culture one where the family was from Somali, and I like ran into families at the preschool that I worked at for a bit where I'm just like seeing like all the different backgrounds, and like reading the code of ethics this time like made me realize why we had to treat certain kids a certain way. Like there are some kids who we couldn't allow them to do something, and now I really realize why. It's because it's the family that's like, no, you cannot let my kid do that. And we've talked to like the counselors and stuff about it. They've just been like, yeah, just kind of do what the family wants, as long as it's not physically harming the child. It's good. And so it's been really interesting to just kind of already apply that to situations now.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how the code of ethics and then the readings from this week kind of tied together in terms of how you have to be careful to remember that you're a family life educator and that you're not, a therapist or a case management, whatever. Because I think, the code of ethics kind of keeps you in line of, like there's one about the community that says, I'll remember like my community support and people that I can refer to, or what it is. But I think that, goes along with this reading because, as a family life educator, we're not a therapist or someone, like the second case study that they were worried about, that there's abuse. We can't do anything about that because we can't like physically step in and help because that's not our area, beyond maybe mentioning it to somebody who can do something. So I think those code of ethics kind of help keep us in line so that we don't overstep the boundaries of, stepping into another field that we're not properly trained for. And it does help if they, that they kind of are in line with what we already believe, and respecting people's personal beliefs and values and all that kind of stuff.
I think one of the questions from lesson 9 from this one was talking about just what you said, was we need to understand our limits and our boundaries when we're working with our families, because honestly, once it comes to their opinion, the parents' opinions, everything else is just like, basically we have to follow them because they are the parents and they are the ones who are caregiving for those children. So I think it's just interesting how we're just there if we're like they're their backbone if they ever need it, which I love to think about because building and supporting family is our main goal, and making that our highest priority, that the parents know that are important. So recognizing where we need to stop and or how far we need to go, I think it's all so important. So I'm glad you added that.
Yeah, I also liked this week's lessons, especially when it was like talking about it kind of took us back to the 3 stages of like the preventative services or something like that, and how family life education fits into the first 2, where it's based solely on preventative, where there's no problems. We're just kind of more educating people with knowledge and skills before the problems arise. And then the other one, when there is a risk of problems. And then the 3rd level is when there are problems, and that should not be for family life educators. And so just being able to focus on like the first 2 and being able to say, yeah, like this is our area. If we see that there are these really huge problems, then we need to pass it on to the people who actually have training in counseling, who can help these people more than we can.
So, kind of along with that, what were the 3 words that you guys picked? Like if you had to describe family life education in 3 words, what were the words that you guys picked?
Well, I never actually wrote it down, but just the first 3 things that popped into my head is being ready, willing, and I don't know, service, having that in mind, being willing to serve and be ready for whatever happens. I don't know. Those are some things I had.
The 3 words that I came up with were knowledge, skills, and enhancement, because those are like the 3 things that educators should be doing. We should be giving knowledge, we should be helping them develop skills, and then we should be enhancing their situations that they're in.
That was really good. I did inform, provide, and protect. So, I mean, we're supposed to inform them of, with skills or inform them of ways to improve their family life and to improve their situations. And then we're supposed to provide them with information and education and skills to be able to do that. We're supposed to protect the sanctity of family life and protect, family values and beliefs and the importance of the family and what they're doing here and on this earth, I guess.
One of the questions that I wanted to discuss was the last one, when I was talking about like, does the article help you see why it is so important as a family life educator to not slide into the role of counselor or therapist?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest reasons is because we have some of the knowledge and information of those other roles, but we are not fully trained to fulfill those roles, I guess. And so, as a family life educator, sometimes people might take our advice or whatever for cold hard, this is how you're supposed to do it, and this is for your particular situation, need to try this, when really we're just trying to provide ideas and skills and information that they can use. Generally, as a family life educator, we don't know the whole background story of everyone. We're kind of teaching a general thing rather than knowing specific details. and issues, and careful to not come across like we're doing therapy work, because they might take it as a professional opinion. Like it's kind of like when they have outside of work and she's like not supposed to diagnose you with anything because she can get in trouble for that if she's wrong. I think it's kind of the same thing. We have to be careful with the advice we provide, because they might take it to heart and that's not necessarily what is going to be the most effective for them, or it doesn't actually work with their family situation. Sorry, that was kind of rambling.
One thing that the article said that I really liked was sometimes when like people are sharing really personal and major problems, and like the educator tries to like answer that in like a therapist position, it could just become super overwhelming to the others, or they just don't know how to handle that information. And then I was also thinking, since we're not certified as a counselor, it could do more harm than it could help them.
More elegantly than I did. That's what I was trying to get at. So thank you.
Just hearing what you guys covered it all basically, but something that I think of when as educators, I think people do get that hint, because there's like that almost that stigma of, we're gonna be there and we're gonna tell you what to do, when in reality we just want to be, there for you if you need it. And should be no pressure. It should be totally open. Here in Mesa, they have those type of people where they have a family member, or I'm not 100% sure what exactly it is, but they have an educator come in where sister-in-law's house, and they just are there for the mom and just help her like educate as they go. So some days they're doing their ABCs, but it's mainly the mom interacting with the child. And so the educator brings in like toys and all kinds of different education and learning things. I cannot talk right now. But just developing it, and it's not like this stigma of like, okay, this is how you need to do it. This is what you should be doing. You're doing something wrong. It's all a matter of just there if you need it, and just boosting up the parent that they can do it. So I just really love that stigma and that idea. And so I don't know.
I think an important distinction to remember kind of is that I kind of feel like a family life educator is there for people who they want to learn something. They want to learn, how to provide an early education for their children, or how to be a better parent. And a therapist is more along the lines of, there's already an issue that needs to be solved. Kind of like Sarah was saying earlier, I feel like, family life education is more along the lines of preventative, and therapy is more along the lines of secondary or tertiary help. There's already an issue that needs to be worked on. Okay, so did you guys feel like the authors of the article, did you agree with their reasonings for why they, why they didn't like I don't know how to say this guy's name, Doyatry's model. Yeah. Did you agree with why they didn't like it, or did you feel like his model was fairly comprehensive?
I really liked their arguments against Doherty's article. I think that's how you say it. I've heard that last name before. So I really liked the argument for how they were saying how his article was hierarchical, however you say that, and just how really there was really no hierarchy, because if so, then the therapists would have the same training as educators, but in reality, therapists, most of them actually just have their training in therapy and not educating the public. And then also so much interlap, but there's so much difference that it shouldn't really be considered in like a hierarchical order. And I really liked that argument that they gave.
Yeah, I like how he said that they, in a way, they work together, but they are different and they provide different skills and different necessities. And so it's not like, oh, you caught it. It's not like one is better than the other. They just provide different skills and different information.
Ditto. Amen to that. You guys hit them both.
Was there anything else that caught anyone's attention that they wanted to discuss? Or, sorry, Lakin thinks she should be part of the discussion. I don't know, I guess this isn't really one of the questions, but like with reading this stuff, do you guys feel like are you still wanting to pursue the situation of family life educator, or do you feel like family therapy would be more interesting or anything like that? Or, I mean, a different, I don't know, field in this kind of, within this field? I don't know, that doesn't really make sense, but.
I'll let you know how it goes after the workshop next week. No, but like my ultimate goal, I want to be like an abuse counselor. So working in therapy and working where there's already a problem is what I ultimately want to do. But I feel like being a family life educator is kind of like a good start, where we don't absolutely need that PhD, and just kind of helping give people the knowledge and skills to make their families more effective and function better is something that I'm interested in, but not my ultimate goal.
For me, I think this is definitely a part. I'm still really enjoying it, and obviously, as a family that I've already have started, it's I don't want to say a perfect ending, but it's kind of perfect for where I can officially start focusing on my own family and hoping that I can develop and be effective what I'm trying to preach or trying to help others see as well. And so by taking this course and having it there for just for in case that if I ever need to, it's been so helpful for me in my own knowledge to be able to apply it into my own family. That's what I love the most, I think, about this. The fact that I've been able to it feels good to be able to use something that I've like been working so hard towards. Like, it's kind of amazing that's already so close to being done. Just looking back.
I know, that's what I have loved, is that it's like, yeah, I have a family now, so I can practice what I preach, and I think that kind of helps give credibility. It's like, I know it works. I do it myself.
Yeah.
But I think especially after reading the case studies, like I would definitely want to stay on the side of family life education, but I think it'd be kind of helpful to have like a degree in or your PhD in in therapy or whatever, because as a family life educator, I think you are going to come across some of those situations, like the second one where they were talking about, there's possible abuse suspected. Then I feel like if I had my, my education in therapy, then I could help and not just kind of have to turn it over to somebody else or just kind of hope for the best,
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I probably won't pursue it just because I am so ready to be done with school. But I think it would be helpful.
Take a break and then go back, right? Oh. Those case studies kind of put you in like reality perspective.
No, it's a little bit depressing. Oh, guess what? Daddy's home and he can take you. Okay. Been fussy all day. Well, unless anyone had anything else they were dying to discuss, I think that was a pretty good discussion.
30 minutes.
Yep. Yes, you contributed much to the discussion. Thank you. All right. Well, this was our last one, right? This is it.
Wow.
Well, it's been great meeting with you guys. A real pleasure. Tell Grace we're sorry we missed her.
Yeah, she texted me and she's like, I totally forgot about this meeting. And she's like, literally 5 minutes ago, I told my business teacher